Ashley, Pennsylvania, on February 18th and 25th. Pacific's 1238 and 1286 were not available because they were on emergency loan to the city of Reading, Pennsylvania. The city's main heating plant had broken down, and the two steam engines were being used to help furnish heat to the central business district. In a remarkable display of organizational talent, Rowland was able to find two other steam locomotives to substitute for the missing Pacifics. This odd couple consisted of Nelson Blount's Pacific 127, which made a deadhead run from Vermont to New Jersey in the dead of winter, and the Strasburg Railroad's classic ex-Great Western Decapod 210 number 90. Both of these winter excursions started off with the Pacific on the head end. The Decapod was added later on in the trip to help get the steam special over a series of heavy grades. During the February trips, television station WVIA out of Scranton sent a crew along to interview passengers and members of the crew. The program was shot on 16mm black and white sound film. At Jim Thorpe, the TV crew shot what is believed to be the first on-camera interview with Ross Rowland. The 28-year-old engineer spoke a bit about himself and what it's like to run a steam engine in the diesel world of the late 1960s.
I'm a commodity futures broker, trading primarily in silver, copper, and platinum contracts. And weekends and days off, I railroad, as you see me doing today, with a steam engine here and the one up front there. We're having a little problem today with a fire, so we're running a little late, but I think we got it licked now. One of the problems is that the engines aren't used as much as they should be, so it's like a car that doesn't get a chance to get broken in. They get a little stiff. And when you go to use them, you have to give them a few hours to break in. So she's breaking in now. That's the problem we're having. But basically, I think the people are having a good time. We have a beautiful day today, and we'll win eventually. It'll take a while.
The success of these excursions was overwhelming, which created a peculiar dilemma for the High Iron Company.
And the problem we encountered was that the public response to the trips was so good that the little Canadian Pacific engines that we were using, and later two small Canadian Pacifics, it took two of them to pull the trains that we could sell the tickets on. So it became apparent to us early on that we needed a bigger locomotive. And I made a deal with Nelson Blount before his untimely death that we would lease his 759 nickel plate Berkshire for 5 years, and we'd pay to fix it up and donate $1 per ticket to Steamtown in return for its use, and he agreed to that. So in 1968, we moved the 759 from Steamtown, which was then in Vermont, to the Conneaut, Ohio roundhouse of the nickel plate, then N&W. And Joe Carroll, the retired nickel plate boiler foreman, and a paid crew of 5 men and a volunteer staff of 50 or so, spent 6 months and totally rebuilt the 759.
Engine 759 was built in August 1944 by the Lima Locomotive Works of Lima, Ohio. This handsome Class S2 284 Berkshire-type engine was considered to be one of the most modern steam designs ever produced. Assigned to the nickel plate's famous high-speed freight service, the 759 received what turned out to be the railroad's last steam locomotive overhaul at the Conneaut shops in May 1958. All dressed up and ready to go, she never returned to service and was eventually sold to F. Nelson Blount of Steamtown, USA in October 1962. With a total engine weight of 440,800 pounds, compared to the smaller Canadian Pacific G5's 234,000, an attractive effort of 64,100 pounds compared to the G5's 34,000, the 759 had almost double the power. On September 8, 1968, the Big Berk began her fan trip career by pulling a High Iron Company excursion from Conneaut, Ohio to Buffalo, New York. Trips to Niagara Falls, New York, and Roanoke, Virginia soon followed. The powerful and very reliable 759 gave Ross Rowland and the High Iron Company the ability to run big-time mainline fan trips anywhere in the United States. This handsome locomotive was the key to establishing Ross as the greatest steam excursion entrepreneur of all time.
In late 1968, with the 100th anniversary of the linking of America by railroad around the corner in May of 1969, I thought that it was one of the great undertold stories of American history, how the railroads had transformed this nation and allowed America to become truly the United States of America. Remember that before the railroads united America in 1869, it took the better part of a year to traverse this country from coast to coast by wagon train and boat. On May the 10th, 1869, the driving of the Golden Spike, we became truly, physically, the United States of America. And it was then possible in the unbelievable short time of 6 nights and 7 days to go from New York to the West Coast. And that literally transformed us and allowed the Industrial Revolution to take place and the real building of America to begin. So I thought it was the 100th anniversary of that great event was something worth bringing to the public's attention. And I went to the Association of American Railroads and said, look, we've got a first-class mainline steam engine now, the nickel plate 759. We've proven ourselves organizationally that we can do these things. You put your name on it with us. We'll do all the grunt work. We'll put the train together. We'll do the schedule in cooperation with the railroads. You get behind it as a sponsor and tell the railroads to cooperate. And we'll operate a New York to Utah and back excursion. And we'll stop each night in a different town, prearranged, and have 3 baggage cars. And in those baggage cars, we'll tell the past, present, and future story of American railroading with your help. And they said, good, let's do that. So we did that. And the Golden Spike Centennial Limited was thus born.
The Limited was a 15-car train featuring an attractive blue and gold paint scheme. Engine 759 also received special markings. Departing New York's Grand Central Terminal on May 3, 1969, the train ran to Salt Lake City, Utah, with numerous stops along the way. It returned to New York on May 18th. In a pattern that would soon become the hallmark of the classic Ross Rowland steam excursion, the Golden Spike Centennial Limited was displayed to the general public at each stopover with the cab of the steam engine, 3 display cars, and several of the coaches open for free visits. During this historic near-transcontinental 15-day excursion, it was estimated that more than 1.5 million people were trackside to watch the colorful train go by. Among the celebrities who visited the Limited was John Wayne, who rode from Omaha to Salt Lake City. During his 2-day stay, the Duke discussed with Ross Rowland how appropriate it would be to run a train like the Golden Spike Limited to celebrate America's 200th birthday, then 7 years away. With John Wayne's support, Rowland pledged that he would begin work on that project. Thus was born the American Freedom Train.